Good afternoon. My name is Christine Miranda, and the title of my proposal is Complementary Assets and the Use of Best Practices to Positively Contribute to a Firm's Cost Advantage. On today's agenda, we'll be discussing our introduction, objectives, and the methodology used for this study. So research has shown that a firm's performance has completely disregarded the existing resources and capabilities to apply environmental management for best practices. This best practices concept refers to that of protecting the environment while minimizing costs. Results from 88 chemical companies have shown that creating a relationship between best practices and cost advantage it is achievable through the application of process innovation and implementation as complementary assets. The objectives for this proposal is to determine the relationship between best practices of environmental management and competitive management of a firm, as well as to establish the role of complementary assets in the relationship between best practices of environmental management and competitive cost advantage of a firm. The methodology for this study. First, we designed a survey that asked companies to identify just one environmental issue that had great effect on their businesses. So the reason why we only chose to ask the companies for only one environmental issue is because there are different environmental issues that affect different segments of the chemical industry. This approach, we thought it was more appropriate than just specifying issues in the survey questionnaire. Then we're going to develop a hypothesis based on the data collected from the survey and the literature information. So the hypothesis, we broke it down into segments. First, we have three hypotheses that just focus on the three best practices. And then we have three hypotheses that focus on monitoring complementary assets. So the first set is we developed this hypothesis by regarding the direct effects of environmental best practices on cost advantage based on the environmental management literature. The second set, which is complementary assets, we developed this hypothesis by regarding the potential of moderating effects of firms, specifically complementary assets that might be required to realize cost advantage from the implementation of these best practices. So we're going to test this hypothesis by using ordinary least square regression analysis, and we're going to test the contingency relationship suggested in the second set of hypotheses using moderated regression analysis. Lastly, is the timeline. So we first started by choosing a topic, we determined the objectives, and we also developed the methodology. Right now, we're working on the experiment. So what that means is that we're going to construct the measures. So many of the items used in this survey were adopted from the literature, while others were originally developed. 16 measurements scales were identified through our review of prior research, and these measurements scales were adjusted to fit the variables included in this study. Thank you, and have a great day.